Hello, world. This is the Brother to Brother Show. I'm your host, K Mo. Thank you for taking this journey with us with real men, real problems, real solutions. Let's go. All right, we're back to the Brother to Brother Show. I'm your host, K Mo. I have two of my guests that are always on with me. I want to appreciate and thank you so much, KC. Say hey to our listeners, KC.
What's up?
And Rio.
Yo.
All right, gentlemen. So we wanted to talk a little bit tonight about dating. And so it was one of the topics that I love to have a conversation about, because with my guy friends and my female friends, and it's always like this huge debate, and we'll probably continue this topic until like the day that we die, right? Because it's something that we always talk about. But in you all's case, we're going to be talking about this tonight. Who pays for the first date, right? So historically, in your past, how you were growing up, like what can you remember about that first date that you went on in high school or middle school? Anybody?
It's Rio. I was with my mom, so I think she paid.
Okay.
So that kind of started the train for me, so I had expectations.
Okay.
But I think, for me, I remember times of, my father picking up a bill.
Okay.
And that kind of stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, like, I even remember, I was joking about my mom, but I actually did go have something to eat with my mom, and I remember how good it felt to taste.
Okay.
And so I think, for me, I don't necessarily have a principle around it. I think that if I ask someone out for dinner,
mm-hmm.
whether it is, we're on an official date or not, I think I am more than likely to pick up that bill.
Okay.
But if it's just a discussion that we're having and we are just kind of casually talking and they're just friends and there is no sort of, there's no sort of like intention behind it from a dating perspective.
Right.
I'm open to splitting that bill.
Okay. Well, but before you go there, I want to go back in high school when you first had that job, right? Think about the time when you remember the time when you actually had the first date, and what did y'all do and what did you have to pay for?
Oh yeah, first date we went on a real date. We went to a Japanese restaurant.
Okay.
And yeah, it was real nice, real laid out. It was like one of the hibachi, but it was at a true Japanese restaurant, so you kind of set into the floor.
Okay.
And so it was real nice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember paying for it. I had a little job, and so it was not even like a question.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I paid for it, but it was also my date. It was an intended date.
Mm-hmm.
Intention. And so no question, I would be paying for that.
Okay. What about you, KC? High school, right? If you had a job, talk about that, and also talk about like what went through your mind when you were going on that first date.
Well, my first date was roller skating.
Oh, okay.
And we, I saved up money for that. I was working.
Okay.
And
what were you working?
I knew I was going to pay because I asked her out.
Okay.
On a date, and it was very clear that it was a date. And I think I actually did. I pick her up. I don't think I picked her up because maybe I wasn't driving by then. But it was clear it was a date. It was clear, at least in my mind, that I was going to be paying for everything. But
Okay. Okay. So I did not have the opportunity to have a car until I was in college. And I worked my butt off in high school to buy my first car. And so, but so my mom took me everywhere. And because she had to do that, the only thing we really could do back home was go to the movies. Right. And so I did have a job. I think I did ask her out. So what do? You like meet up at the AMC, right? All your friends are there. I get dropped off, and you're like, "Hey, how you doing?" You meet, and then you just go into the movies, and then you pay for them. At that time, I think the movie was like $5, and then you go and get your pop. You ask the person, "Hey, do you want some popcorn?" This, that, and the third. And we watch a movie, and you walk outside. So there was no real interaction, but I do remember paying and just cuddling up with my date and watching the movie. That was a huge deal for me for the first date. And I did pay, and I think during that time, that was the expectation. Moving into manhood and like being a man and going to college and going to just working. Any dates that you felt like, or you remember a woman picking up that check and how that felt for you?
Yeah, I remember that. I mean, I actually, I can think back when in college, I had a few times in college where, young ladies asked me out. We went on nice little date, and it was on them. I mean, and that was, I think that was cool. Like, I don't know. I guess I don't think too much about it. It's never like I went home and be like, yeah, I'll pay it again. So
yeah.
I think it was like, well, she asked me, she asked. I think it was it wasn't like an expectation for her to pay, but it wasn't surprising because they asked me. So it was like, well, they asked me out, so she paid. So there you go. But I didn't even, I wasn't like excited when it happened. I wasn't like, it was like, all right. So that was it.
KC.
Yeah, this is KC. I think when you're in high school, or when I was in high school, let's say, it's almost like things were more defined.
Yes.
And maybe it was because, I was working and, most of the people I dated were not working.
Okay.
I do remember, though, I had a girlfriend who was working, and I remember the first time she took me out, and it was kind of weird. It was good, but that was the first time I had experienced someone taking me out on a date and paying for it. So, but now, fast forward to being an adult and dating, I think it's a lot more commonplace to share bills at times, or to allow the other person to pay than maybe it was back in high school.
Yeah, it was definitely a different day and time, and things were defined. So that's kind of where I want to pick up, right? So when you're talking about that, me never being married and dating, I have there's a guy that I follow, and he definitely talks about this, and a woman mentions, her never really paying, like she never really paying, and then them going into back and forth and saying, hey, I've heard a lot of my friends who have dated, and because a lot of the women in the society we live in right now is so gun ho on that traditional way of thinking of men and paying for the first date, which is fine. But as you continue on with the dating, right? How do you all feel about, do you feel like at some point the lady should pay, or, yeah, that's my question. Do you feel like at some point the lady should pay for the first, I mean, not the first date, but dates as we continue to date? Right.
then I kind of take it as they're not really as interested in me as I am in them. So, I'm sure if I keep paying, they might keep going out. But
yeah,
they got to put some skin in the game. So what would they do? Yeah, I think for me, but I would agree. I mean, I think, I don't spend a lot of time thinking of that. And, fortunately for me, I don't think I'm necessarily ran into that problem. Like, because I don't think, like, at the point in which we call this sort of dating is like, maybe I haven't really defined it as that. Like, I'm just, at this point, we're just friends. Like, I'm trying to, you're getting to know me, I'm getting to know you. Like, I'm not dating. I don't want to say I'm not dating with intention, but I'm not intentionally dating. Does that make sense? Like, I'm like creating and understanding a friendship, seeing if there is chemistry there to move the next step forward. Because I don't even know if I like you yet. Like, so, like, in the point I'm talking about, like, as a human being, like, I'm trying to figure out, like, who you are as a human being first. And so, if you are interested in me in that way, then chances are you are going to be engaging with me. Like, and I would like to think the women that I would talk with would, if they offer to treat me, or hey, they would say it. They'd be like, oh, let me treat you to dinner, or oh, hey, I heard about this really cool thing. We should go. And they're not waiting for me to get the ticket. Like, they're not making date suggestions for me to go and book.
And Rio, I want to stop you right there, and I'm gonna let you finish your thought. I promise you. I need to say this out loud, right? You've been in relationships for the large majority of your life. There were some times when you were not. I do agree. KC said earlier, right? He did say it is a lot. 10 years ago, I 150% understand where you're coming from. I would even say before social media, definitely. Those things that you're speaking of, I believe, hands down, no question about it. And that's just my personal opinion with somebody who's been dating. I agree. And I've seen the transition. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Well, that's my, I can't speak, after 10 years. That's when it's probably been 12, to be honest.
Right.
But yeah, it's probably longer than that, actually. I don't think it's probably been like 14, 15. But, so yeah, I don't have a lot of reference points when it comes to that. So yeah, maybe I should reference that by saying, during that time, that's how we rock. Like, that's how it happens.
Absolutely.
Natural.
Absolutely.
In my circle.
Absolutely.
Were of that same mindset.
Yes.
So I never had to maneuver any differently. But today, from what I hear, I think it could be quite different.
Right. KC, can you pick that up? Because I wanted to touch on it, but I know that you've been in a relationship kind of out here and you've seen it, just gotten a taste of it. Because I agree, right? I agree with everything that you're saying. I think if it was a different day and time, like, I would even feel more comfortable with that. And we're not even talking about the first day. I believe if I'm the person to initiate, I am the one who is paying. But I feel like at this point, when you're dating and a lot more unhealthy situations, even though unhealthy situations happen, let's say 10 years ago, I feel like it's more unhealthy situations that are out there where people have their guards up to that point where those things don't necessarily happen enough. Now, I could be wrong, but me talking to my friends, having engaging conversations with, I would agree. I would feel more comfortable. And I used to feel like the cloth that I would keep around me with those type of women, and that they would, but at some point, at sometime, though it changed a little bit. And even those women that I felt like had the same attributes or characteristics, they change too with the times. And that doesn't mean that a lot of actions from men or people being hurt. I think that being exposed to it, being hurt, unhealthy situations, because unhealthy situations have always existed. But with this particular situation, like we're talking about, I feel like it's changed. What do you think, Casey?
I agree. I think it has, things have changed, but, to Rio's point, showing that common interest is something that's important. And I think, sometimes you get some people they're just used to the other person making all the decisions. And, that works for, one or two times, but, just because, I might pick good restaurants, that doesn't mean that absolves you from ever picking a restaurant or ever picking an activity for us to do. Because if not, if the other person never does it, then it makes it feel like it's my job. Nobody wants to have a job when they're trying to date somebody. They want to feel like, they're in this relationship or both are equally kind of attracted to each other and being proactive about it. So, I always, go ahead. Can I just jump in a little bit there? I think, you made a good point. That's something that I think I would be interested in diving into a little bit, just around the intention. Because we're talking about dating, but again, in the past, like it was not that intentional. And like, is it because of the time that we live in with the online dating and social media kind of way of things that you have to state an interest? Like one of the things I see issues with the dating app is like it's a dating app. It's like not a friendship app. And I think a lot of times we kind of point this need for, well, this lack of friendship. Like everyone is online and saying like, oh, I'm gonna find my boyfriend, or I'm gonna find my partner online. So when you go and you meet someone, it's like it already sets up the intention, and maybe that is why there's an expectation from women. It's like, you are intending to date me, so you must pay, right? And like maybe that's forcing this idea instead of you meet someone out, right? In the past, and you guys get to talk, and you're like, oh, okay, really cool person, blah blah blah. You exchange information. You still might like you might physically like this person, but you're trying to like find out about this person, and if you would actually. But in the online dating, there's already a fixed profile that supposedly tells you all the stuff that you need to know about them, so you skip this step and you go straight to dating. So, what do you think about? What do you guys think about? Is that possibly a cause of?
I think that's a huge point. I mean, I online date, and I believe for me, yes, because I've done it. I'm a little bit more seasoned than you all are, being in this in general. Then I feel like I try to get to the actual point and then do that. The reason why, because if I was meeting somebody at a grocery store, if I was meeting somebody at the mall, if I met somebody doing a gathering that we used to have, it's too natural. But you also have to, as a man, that goes into thinking about what am I going to say to create a situation so that I can pursue this person. Even I see that they're cool, or let's say in a grocery store, I've walked past her a couple times and I'm like, I'm about to do this. You see how, for me, like I've said in my other podcasts, I look at like how she walks, especially if I was out at a lounge or at a gathering with friends, or something that we may have had. Like I'm looking at how she presents herself. I'm looking at how she reacts to certain things. I'm looking at how fun she is. I'm looking at how cute she is. I'm looking at all those things. I'm like, yeah, that looks good to me. But when you're behind a piece of media that you can't detect that at all, you want to see if the person is just what you want, and then all that other stuff kind of can like, oh, what do you like to do? What do you like to do for your spare time? But when you see somebody, y'all playing Taboo or you playing a game and everybody's engaged, you like, she cool as I don't know what. I want to talk to her. This one right here is cute, but this one right here may not be as cute, but she cool. She sound like, I asked her how, where's she from? I didn't ask all them questions before I even engaged and said, hey, I know y'all about to leave, but can we talk later? Cool. In exchange, we already have some type of rapport with each other and we can move on. Online dating, you don't really you can see somebody's picture, but if somebody's new to this, I'm not really that new. People have pictures up that are, oh, they jumping off of a plane, they laughing with their girlfriends, they engaging in stuff, they going to comedy shows, and this and half of their arm, and who they like, all these type of things. You like, yeah, that's the person I want to talk to. And then you get in front of them and you're like, so it's crickets. And I personally have had that so many times.
But do you think though that eases the idea from say the young lady to say, because of all of that is already up front, right? It's on the app. Do you think that their expectation going into that dinner is that he's trying to date me, so he should be paying? Do you think that that online mentality concept is feeding this expectation that the guy should be paying because they're trying to date me? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you met somebody at the
it was cool. Yeah.
We should get up.
Yeah. Like, absolutely. Really, yeah, I get it.
Online dating is like, no, you trying to date me, so you should be paying.
Absolutely. I think that's a huge point that you made. I would say it's 60% of it. Absolutely. That's how big I think it is. 60% of it. Yeah. But at the same time, that's why for me, right, because of all of what you just said, if somebody's cool, I seen her element, or let's say we in a grocery aisle and I'm talking, I'm like, you cool, hey, how you doing? And a lot of times, even nowadays, people are so afraid, and women are they don't come off like cool as much as they used to. It's almost like you're a creep. And I'm like, no, I'm just having a conversation, hey, how you doing? But if somebody was able to like give me that person, for me, I would have no problems paying for it because I know she cool, right? And I've heard some of my friends or people I've met, oh, I would love to meet some, but because men, for one, I don't think men have the same drive that they once had to approach women, because you don't necessarily have to with social media. You know what I'm saying? So, but for me, because I grew up with that drive and I had to use that drive to approach something that I wanted to approach, though it's still, like the first time being nervous to approach somebody, I have no problems doing it to let that person know, hey, how you doing? Now, if that person was like, I'm good. How you doing? I'm like, dang, if it came off that way, I'd be like, wow, this is going very well. But every time I've done it, man, out of 10 times, it may have gone 8 out of the 10. Oh, I was really interested, but I'm like, you didn't give me that same energy, whereas we're in a different element, I would have gotten that same energy. And I believe that people are so afraid. Are you trying to be all like, no, it's not that. It's just what you want. And I feel like, for me, a lot of women I've come in contact, they do want a leader. They do want somebody to take the lead in things of that nature. But I think it's so foreign now for guys to kind of do that. And we're losing our way in some way with that. So therefore, it's foreign to some women if you do come off that way.
Yeah, which is strange to me, because it's like, so that is strange. A guy who approaches you and tries to have this conversation in a public place, but a guy who's Googling your picture along with 1,000 other women and peculiar to me. Like, I don't know. Like I hear sometimes these people they're meeting someone, but when they're meeting someone, they're on the dating side, like, and they feel like they don't want to be disturbed, but you see them swiping over or whatever up or whatever it is, right? And it's just like it's so interesting to me because it's all social based, but then they're less social,
right?
In person.
Yeah.
So strange.
So I think we all can agree. Go ahead, Casey.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say I don't do online dating, and one of the reasons why is because I want to have that social interaction, because that helps confirm or dispel things about that person that you may not get over an email, over a text, or by looking at a profile. So, that's just my preference.
And I think it's unique for us to have this conversation because we all have three different extremes, right? And so I think that's good. But at the same time, I think going back to who pays, we can all agree whoever is asking is the person that pays, and usually that's the man. I have no problem paying for the first date. I just want to I think, Casey, and to your point, Rio, point, especially years ago, you just want to feel, as the man, you want to feel like you're appreciated. And I feel like at some point, I think a lot of those, I'll say this out loud, a lot of those women that we're talking about, a lot of those women are married now. And I think that's the reason why, because it came so natural. It came so, there's an expectation, but I see you. And I feel like that's what is missing, especially with the online dating. Like, I see you as an individual. I see that you're a cool person. I want to do for you. And I think so I can remember some of those people that you're describing. And so can I, even in those spaces. And a lot of those, that's what you want. You want somebody who can instantly say to you, like, no, I want to contribute too. And that's what a friend would do. Right. And that's what we're talking about. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Exactly.
So who pays for the first date? Men, get over it. Just pay for the first date. But I think one of the things that I want to leave you with, make sure you have, if you as an individual and you want to choose and plan for something, have a small plan. You don't have to have anything too big, but make sure wherever you're going, you have that plan so you can control your finances and you feel comfortable with those. And I feel like you can feel like you're appreciated, regardless if you have, you end up being with this person or not. Do something that's fun, that you can have a good time with, and not kill your bank for those things. But I encourage you all to continue to start planning and do a little bit better job of it, because I think that would save you a lot. So thank you for listening. Who pays? We do. The person that asked the person out, but also show the person that you appreciate them. We're out at the Brother to Brother Show. Please know we love you. Work with us, be with us, and know we're coming from the heart. This is the Brother to Brother Show.